reform. What it said was this: the Federal Reserve would analyze the current state of the market and establish what a reasonable and proportional interchange fee would be. What's fair? Since there's no competition here under the current system, let's at least establish what's fair. Let's not let Visa, MasterCard, and the banks fix prices here for lack of competition. Mr. President, you know what their early analysis showed? The average interchange fee was in the range of 40 cents per transaction. The actual cost, closer to 10 cents, maybe even less. They were charging 3 to 4 times as much over the cost of actually clearing the transaction to merchants and retailers across America, which of course diminishes their profitability, diminishes their ability to expand their small businesses and large alike, and it's passed on to the consumer. It's the obvious. The obvious is small businesses and large businesses alike are being overcharged across America by credit card companies and banks without restraint. $1.3 billion in interchange fees collected on debit cards. $1.3 billion. So let's do the math here for a minute. It's over $15 billion a year. $15 billion a year. Businesses large and small are sick and tired of the non-competitive, opaque system that currently exists, their system. If you look at any bank's website, see if you can find how much that bank charges merchants in interchange fees. You won't find anything. There's no disclosure here. There's no transparency. The current interchange system, the one that needs to be reformed, is a price-fixing scheme, period. My amendment simply says that if big banks are going to let Visa and MasterCard duopoly fix fees on their behalf, the Federal Reserve should regulate those fees so they are reasonable. That big banks today receive far more in interchange than it costs them to do debit transactions. They use this excess interchange subsidy for things like ads and reward programs and executive bonuses, and certainly for profits. That's what they do. The effect of my amendment will be to squeeze the fat out of the interchange system. Big banks will still be able to use interchange to pay for reasonable processing costs, but they won't be able to use this interchange scheme to take excessive fees out of the pockets of merchants and their customers. Well, do you know what the interchange fee is on Visa and MasterCard debit card transactions in Canada? Zero. No fee. Do you know what it is in Europe? It's a tiny fraction of what it is in the United States. For example, we know from the last few years that banks and credit card companies have constantly tried to raise fees both on consumers and merchants as high as the market will allow them to go, despite the recession. And we know from experience that competitive markets, which the Wall Street Journal should honor before they honor these duopolies involved in price fixings, competitive markets overseen by reasonable regulation are the best way to keep fees and prices at an appropriate level. Unfortunately, we also know the current interchange system is an unregulated, uncompetitive market. That's why we see fees that are hidden, non-negotiable, and many times higher what a competitive market would produce. Let's talk about this week. The current interchange system is uncompetitive, non-transparent, and harmful to consumers. It is simply unjust to require less affluent Americans who do not participate or benefit from the payment card or banking system to pay for excessive debit interchange fees that are passed through to the cost of goods and services. That quote from the Consumer Federation of America. I hope the Wall Street Journal is aware that card companies like Visa charge higher interchange fees to small businesses than to big businesses. How do you like that for competition? Small businesses get it the worst under the current system.